On task number 14, intermediate task 14, we're doing a little bit of statistics. Find the mean, the median, and the range. I'm guessing that's a set of data that we're going to have to put in here. So let's expand out the folder. First set of instructions, input a list of 10 numbers. So we'll go to box number 28 here, and you can start just typing your numbers, making sure that you separate them with a comma, something like this, whatever. But then I can see that I've got some sort of error here. I don't know what the heck this error means. Let's click on it. And oh, look at this. It's even cluing me in how I'm supposed to write this list. It says lists are written like this. And notice that it's surrounded by square brackets. Okay, I can fix that pretty easily. So I'm going to go over here to this 15. Of course, on your Chromebook, all you have to do is just go to the right of the P and you can find their square brackets. On my iPad, I'm just going to have to go over to the ABC thing answers right down here at the bottom, and I'll start my little square brackets. Oh, and now I have myself a list. Of course, I've got only 3 numbers in it, so I need to come over here to my 5 and start adding in some more numbers. And it tells you down at the bottom how many elements that are in your list. Elements are just the individual items that are in your list. Okay, and then again, I need 7 more of these things, so I'm at 3. Let's throw in I don't know, we'll throw in a negative in here, and something like that, something crazy. And I don't even have to count these, of course, because it's counting them as I go. Ooh, let's make something crazy. Another negative. And why don't I do something like, I don't know, pi in there. I've got 9, and I just need 1 more. Ooh, let's do something even crazier. How about E? Okay, and now it says down there at the bottom, I have 10 element list. I see that this word is hyperlinked. I wonder what the heck that does. Oh, it just expands it out so you can see each individual number. Very handy, except, okay, I mean, I could see it's right there. I've typed them in. Whatever. Okay, so I'm done with my list, and now it wants us to find the mean of that list. Now, before you go on, however, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. I am going to name this list, and if I name this list, I won't have to keep typing it again, especially since I made up some random numbers. Who wants to keep track of all those things, right? So I'm going to go to the left of my square bracket, put my cursor here, and I'm going to name it with a letter I haven't used yet. So I've used A, B, C, and D in previous tasks up here. I don't want to use E. E is a number, and it's already in here. F is the name of a function. G is the name of a function. I don't think I've used H yet. So here, let's do H. And then put a little equal sign. Okay, and then now that names the list. So sort of like we've been doing in class with our TI calculator, that you can basically assign a variable that's going to represent something else. It's going to be a symbolic representation of whatever it is that you're talking about. In this case, it's a whole entire list of numbers. So whenever I go down here to box number 30, in order to find the mean, I can just use H as my argument and not have to retype all my numbers. Now, where do you find mean? I'm going to go over here to functions. Again, you don't see this little keypad on your Chromebook until you click on the lower left-hand corner where you see a little keyboard there, and you can pull this thing up, and then you go over here to functions. And now you can scroll through here, just lots of stuff. And we want to go to the statistics menu. And you can see on the very top of this, it says mean and median. We're going to use both of those things. So if I just tap in on this mean, notice that in box number 30, it has the word mean, and it's open up parentheses because inside the parentheses, I'm supposed to put basically my list. And that means that you can type the list in square brackets, or I can use the letter that I assigned it. Let's see what this little warning says because I haven't completed this. Function mean requires at least 1 argument. For example, try typing and then you can list your numbers inside of it like that. So notice in here that it didn't require that you have square brackets. Okay, but you can have them too. Now here's another thing about this. If you know that Desmos has a function called something, instead of pulling it from a list, you could just type it on your keyboard. Just show you as an example. So I'm just going to get rid of all these letters, go to my keyboard and just type the word mean, M-E-A-N, and it just snaps to mean. And then I want to make sure I open up my parentheses, and now I'm good to go. So rather than retyping my whole entire list, I'm just going to put an H in here. And if there's multiple H's at this point, it'll get confused and say, hey, you've named H in too many different places. Try changing one of them. And I didn't, so we're covered. And so the number that's right down here, of course, is the mean, which is the average. It adds up all my numbers and divides by 10 because I have 10 numbers. Now, the interesting and cool thing about this, of course, is I can just go right up here to my list of numbers and I can change one of my numbers and it will dynamically change what my mean is. And this is something that could happen on the SAT where they do something clever like, okay, well, if you change one of your numbers or you change a collection of your numbers, how does that change the mean? All right, so if I go back down here, did it change this number? Let's make it something that I know it's definitely going to change. Let's say I put a little 3 in there. Okay, so you can see definitely it changed it dynamically as I changed my numbers. All right, and then the next one on box 31 says to find the median. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before. And you might remember when we looked at our functions, hit the function button, and over here at statistics, it's the second one. It says median. And just like before, I didn't have to find it in the menu. I could type the word median, open up my parentheses, and then I know inside of the parentheses, I'm supposed to put my list of numbers. My list of numbers is denoted as H, so I'll just put an H in here. Okay, and what is a median? Well, a median is I line up all my numbers, I put them in order from least to greatest, and I find the middle one. But you don't have a middle number whenever you have 10 digits. So when you don't have a middle number, what the median is defined as is the average of the two that are in the middle, and that's essentially what happened with our list. Okay, and then just like with the median here, it's dynamic in that if I go back and I change my numbers, it's going to also change what my median is. Okay, and then finally it asks for the range of your list. The range is the difference between the biggest and the smallest. So let's put our cursor here in box number 34, and it's kind of curious that there's 3 boxes here. Why are there 3 boxes? Surely I should be able to do just the exact same thing that I did before with a single function, right? Here, let's take a look in the functions. I'm going to go into my functions, go over to statistics, and I don't see a range. I see a spearman, but I don't see a range. There's a varp, but no range. I wonder what happens. I have no idea. I don't know what this is going to do, but I'm going to try typing in the word range and see if this works. R-A-N-G-E. And notice that it kept it's like in italics here. But whenever I type the word median, or not median, I type the word mean, it snapped to, not italics and because it was a function. So let's see what this little warning is. What is this little warning? G is a function. Try using parentheses. What? No. All of this to show you that we can't do range by just finding basically a feature of the calculator to compute it for me. So I have to understand what range is. Once again, the range is find the biggest number, find the smallest number, and then subtract them. So let's look back in our functions and see if there's something that's going to do that for me. So go back to functions and look at statistics. And after the mean and the median, the next one is min, which is short for minimum. And the one after that, underneath mean, is max, which is short for maximum. And the minimum and the maximum, those are the two that I want to use. So I'll start with maximum because I want biggest minus smallest. So I'm going to do max. It opens up my parentheses. I would put my list of numbers in here. And for us, that's, of course, H. And does this make sense? So like right now it's saying my biggest number is 888. I'll expand out my list. Yeah, sure enough, that looks like it's the biggest number, if that makes sense. Let's go back to box number 34. And now I want to subtract out my minimum, which you can type. You saw it was min, so you could type that if you want to, or you can pull it from the functions list. There's the min. And then once again, the argument, the thing that goes inside of the parentheses is whatever your list name is or your actual list of numbers. And for us is an H. So I've got 1011. How is that thing bigger than the actual biggest number? Well, I'm thinking it's because I had some negative numbers in here. Specifically, the smallest number I think is negative 123. So it took the 888 minus a negative 123. Those negatives canceled, and that's why I've got this thing that's over 1,000. Okay, so I looks like I just used one box. So I guess what I could have done is I could have done maximum on one box, minimum on another one, and then subtracted it. Let's say that I wanted to use this value. This is extra, but let's say I wanted this 1011. And you could type that, right? But remember what I said is that the usefulness of this kind of symbolic notation of being able to name things is that you can change something. Let's say I change this 10 here. I change this 10 to a 15, and it's going to change everything along the list. Now, it didn't change the minimum minus the maximum minus the minimum because I need to change one of my smallest numbers, and then it will. Okay, so if I wanted to use that specific value, assuming that it could change if I change the numbers, I would just need to name this. I could set it equal to something, and then it's going to store that value with that letter. And I just got to pick a letter, have it used. I'm up to H. The next one I think is I, so I can say I is equal to. And now I, if I just type in an I in the next box, it has that number, right? So I could use that if I wanted to in any kind of expression. Um, and I could do the same thing up here. I could have named this one if I wanted to, something, and it basically stores it for me. And I could choose another one. So like J, I haven't used J, so I could do J is equal to, and now my J is that number. Again, I can show you that real quick. If I just go down here and I type in my J, and I can see my J is the stored value of the mean. And if I change any of my numbers, all of these things kind of dynamically change for us, which is really kind of interesting and possibly useful. So again, I'll just delete this guy out and make this guy a 6 or something. And you can see all of the numbers here might have changed here just by a little bit. Okay, that's pretty cool. And I think that video went maybe a little deeper than you were expecting, but that's just what we do here. Okay, that should do it.